What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm exploring the Dallas Zoo to uncover what really happened to their now defunct Wilds of Africa Adventure Safari monorail. And stick around, because later, I'll show you what the monorail looks like today. And trust me, it looks absolutely crazy. Alright guys, so here we are next to the now defunct monorail station. So, this monorail station is pretty nice. You know, said that it closed, but you can still see over here that they have the station fully intact and they didn't rip apart any of the track. The only thing that's gone is the trains, which I'll show you later. Okay, so for a little bit of context behind this monorail, the Dallas Zoo monorail opened in 1990 as a new way to experience the wilds of Africa. Over the next 25 years, it carried nearly 4 million guests, becoming one of the zoo's most iconic and beloved attractions. The track. So this was the main station where the monorail would depart. And it would depart all the way down here. Well, first. So you can see down back there, it was pretty much a boardwalk that would take you up there to the station. You know, probably elevated around 20 feet. So then, you can see back here, still fully intact. Only thing that's taken off is the signage. Anyways, so after the monorail would depart, it would follow down here through the Simmons Hippo outpost, where you can see the hippos. So this monorail closed in 2019, or actually late 2019, when COVID started, because the company that made it, the type of monorail is called a straddle beam monorail, and the company that made it went out of business. So now the monorail just sits here in the zoo defunct. The monorail was manufactured by Swiss manufacturer Von Roll, a Swiss holding company best known for monorails, gondolas, and funicular systems around the world. Proper clearance. There's so many trees right next to it now. And look. So here we can see this boardwalk. I don't know if you guys can see it. Behind here was actually the old queue. So you'd walk through that area that I showed earlier, and you'd go here, and then you'd get to the main station, which is right over there. So yeah, you make a little loop, and this is the queue. So yeah, really interesting. Anyways, so as you kept going on the monorail, you'd pass the Simmons Hippo hut and go behind it. So that's what I'm going to do now. Hippo stall here. And as we keep going, you can see the monorail emerges from behind the tracks, where you can see it. And now they have this area. And right over here is where you'd go into the main show area for the monorail, where you see the animals that you usually wouldn't be able to see. For further context, guests would begin their journey by ascending the boardwalk and boarding one of the 3 13-car monorail trains. Riders would start the adventure by weaving behind the Hippo hut before entering the first of 5 backstage exhibits. Here, guests would encounter the Nubian Ibex exhibit, featuring a rugged rock formation home to the nimble Nubian Ibex. Next, riders would travel through the thick brush to reach the Eland exhibit, which formerly housed gravy zebras. Guests would continue along the route as the train revealed the Kirk's Dik-Dik exhibit, followed by the Caracal exhibit, which at the time was home to vervet monkeys. Guests would then be met with the river exhibit, featuring a stunning 25-foot waterfall and a variety of birds, including pelicans. As riders moved past the main waterfall, guests would encounter a smaller 15-foot waterfall, traveling behind it for a unique view of the backside of water. The river then led guests to a forest-themed area housing the critically endangered bongo. Then, riders passed through more dense foliage to reach the Saharan Desert exhibit. Here, guests could observe a range of species, including addax, Somali wild ass, gemsbok, common ostrich, and the lappet-faced vulture. From there, riders would pass the Red River Hog exhibit before entering the Serengeti exhibit. which featured a diverse mix of birds and mammals. Guests could see lesser kudu, black-crowned cranes, Thompson's gazelles, marabou storks, lappet-faced vultures, and even a secretary bird. Guests would then round a corner to observe a troop of chimpanzees, followed by the Nile crocodile exhibit, where riders would watch crocodiles lounging in their pond. The monorail continued past the wild crane exhibit before crossing over the entryway to the Giants of the Savannah exhibit. Finally, riders would catch a glimpse of the cheetah habitat, which was formerly the mandrill habitat, before passing over the penguin habitat and returning to the station, completing the full monorail experience. Anyways, it is loud here, so I'm gonna go to the next part where you can see the monorail track. Here we go. There's the okapi exhibit. We can see one of their okapis. Pretty cool. This is my favorite animal, so the okapis are really, really cool. Oh, look, it's so cute. Oh, adorable. You know, a fun fact about okapis are that okapis are the largest zoo animal that keepers can safely enter the habitat with. So you can see a keeper in there while the okapi is still in here, just cleaning up. So that is really, really cool. Anyways, here come some more people. So time to keep going. Here they have the staff area for the okapis. You know, you can see a little bit of it back there. They have a barn there, lots of cool stuff. Anyways, so as we go down here, we're going down the trail. So here is the map. So the monorail station was right here. You'd go up there behind the Siemens Hippo outpost. Then you go over here. So I'm on this trail right now. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna see some more of the track. And then back here, next to the Kimberly-Clark Chimpanzee Forest, we're gonna see what's coming up, and that's gonna be the monorail trains. Anyways, here we go. All right, guys, so anyways, we're gonna keep going down here. And something really, really interesting about this is that right here, they used to have a lappet-faced vulture exhibit, right? So right here, you can actually see some of the show area for what they had, where they had the African desert for the monorail. So you can see it back there. You can't see it that well because it's pretty overgrown, but you can see some fencing in that direction, where they actually used to have that area. I'm not completely sure where the monorail track is right here, but right there they had a desert area. Anyways, I'm honestly not sure if they still have those animals. I'm pretty sure they do, because they could still live there without the monorail going by. But anyways, I guess we'll see. Here we go. So the blue duiker is not here right now. Let's keep going and let's try to see the monorail. So there's the aviary area. So the monorail would usually travel behind all of this. So that's why you can usually see the track. So right now we are coming up on the coolest area. So the Kimberly-Clark Chimpanzee Forest is a expansive habitat where they keep the chimpanzees. But behind that, you can actually see the monorail track and you can see the trains. They stripped the trains of all of their cosmetics and stuff, but you can actually still see the trains just sitting there, sitting and rotting. It is really, really interesting. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, the monorail trains. Here we go. You can see the monorail trains right over there. I have some more footage of that. Anyways, so yeah, these trains are really, really interesting. You see the whole train back there. That is really, really cool. No more branding, no more animal prints on them, just white, plain monorail. Alright, so here's a deeper look at the trains. They're just all white and there's no more detail on them. There's no more branding. It's just sad. They've been sitting here for like, I don't know, 5 years now. It's pretty sad. So yeah, I guess the monorail trains are just overgrown and sitting on site. Anyways, so let's see if we can see them some more. This is interesting. I need a quarter. I'm broke, I don't have a quarter. Why can't they just make those things free? Why do they have to make money off of everything? Anyways, so here they have this top area where they can feed the chimpanzees in there. But you can see the monorail track is right up there, where you can see the front of one of the trains. Right there. I believe that when the monorail was running, they had it running with 2 trains each day. So one train would be like halfway through the route, while the next train was departing from the station, and they would just cycle them through like that. And the monorail actually broke down in like 2015 or 2014. Anyways, people had to get evacuated from the monorail, and then they gave it a whole revamp in like 2016, and then it reopened like 2015 or 2016, and then simply it closed when COVID came. So it's pretty sad, but I wish the manufacturer didn't go out of business, but now the monorail track just is there to rot. Anyways, so I can talk to you guys about the master plan for this monorail track now. Alright, so the Dallas Zoo's master plan is that they want to reactivate 15 acres of the parkland that the monorail used to occupy. They're going to turn it into a half-a-mile safari-like walking trail experience. It's going to be a new home for 24 species, and rhinos are going to finally return to Dallas, and they're going to be the only U.S. zoo with rhinos and cheetahs in a mixed species habitat. So that's going to be pretty cool, and I'm excited to see it if it happens. Anyways. Okay guys, so we're coming up on another area where you can actually get really close to the monorail track. Right there. That bar is literally the monorail track. So monorail used to go through here, but now as you can see, it's completely overgrown with bamboo and stuff. So really, really interesting. We can see more of that track right here. And a staff area. Track right over there. Track still there in all its glory. Just sitting there, waiting to be rotted. It's sad, but you know. Anyways, you can see you can see the tracks really, really good right here. Really nice. So back when the monorail was running, it would go through all of this back area. So when it closed, you can't see any of those animals anymore. Like think of the Bronx Zoo's monorail, right? And the thing with the Bronx Zoo's monorails is that if that closed, you wouldn't be able to see the elephants or any other things. You'd be able to only see a little bit, right? But the Dallas Zoo monorail closed, and now half of the Wilds of Africa zone is just not even being used. It hasn't been used for 5 years. So I did ride the monorail multiple times before. I did actually film it one time, which I'll put up here. Anyways, it was really, really cool. Anyways, my favorite part was probably when you went to the backside of water. That is the best part ever. That was really, really cool. Anyways, so now we're getting towards the end. And right here is where they have the Greg Hudson Giants of the Savannah. But you know what you might notice is that this Giants of the Savannah area, actually, they cover this in the sign. But this signpost is actually the monorail track once again. You can see it right there. All throughout there. It's monorail track. And they repurposed that. It's had this giant new sign. They had a lot smaller of a sign there, but now they added this really big one right here where they used to have the monorail. Really, really interesting. They have these nice misters here. Yeah, here's the Giants of the Savannah exhibit. And this is where the track is. Really, really interesting. anyways, guys, so that is what happened to the Dallas Zoo's monorail. It's pretty much sitting there to rot, but their master plan, hopefully, will reactivate all of this land and maybe even add cheetahs and rhinos. So anyways, please like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video about the history and why the Dallas Zoo's monorail is defunct. And anyways, guys, please like and subscribe, and bye-bye.